Hello, my friends. Today, I want to share a special story with you. This story is not only good for your English practice, but it will also make you feel hopeful. It is a story about dreams, hard work, and never giving up. The title of the story is Nothing is Free. It shows us that if we want something in life, we must work for it. There was once a young man named Ethan. He was 20 years old and lived in a quiet village surrounded by green hills and clear rivers. The village was small, with only a few shops and houses, but it was beautiful and peaceful. Ethan had big dreams. He wanted to open his own restaurant one day, not just one restaurant, but many. He dreamed of having a famous restaurant chain and becoming a great businessman. But life was hard for Ethan. His family did not have much money. His father, Thomas, worked as a mechanic. He fixed cars in a small garage near their house. He worked long hours but earned very little. Ethan's mother, Linda, cleaned people's homes to help the family. She was kind and strong, but she often came home tired. Ethan also had a younger sister named Emily. She was 10 years old, full of energy, and she loved Ethan very much. To Emily, Ethan was a hero. One cold evening, Ethan sat outside his small wooden house. The sky was full of stars. He looked up at them and whispered, "I want to give my family a better life. But how can I do that when we don't even have enough money for ourselves?" The next morning, Ethan decided to talk to his father. While Thomas was fixing a car, Ethan walked up to him and said, "Dad, I want to be someone. I want to do something big. I want to own restaurants and take care of all of you." Thomas looked at him, then wiped the sweat from his face. He said, "Ethan, dreams are not free. If you want something in this world, you have to fight for it. No one will give it to you. Start with something small. Use what you have, even if it's very little." Ethan thought about these words all day. Later that week, he had an idea. People in his village loved fresh bread, but the nearest bakery was far away. It took nearly an hour to get there, and many people didn't have time to go. Ethan saw a chance to help his village and start something of his own. He thought, what if I sell fresh bread here in my village? But there was a problem. Ethan had no money. He couldn't buy the bread to sell. He sat down and thought hard. Then he made a brave decision. He would go and speak to the bakery owner, even though he had no money. The next morning, Ethan walked many kilometers to the bakery in the next town. It was cold, and his shoes were old, but he kept going. The bakery was owned by an old man named Mr. Bennett. He was known for being serious and not very friendly. Most people were afraid to talk to him. Ethan took a deep breath and said, "Good morning, sir. My name is Ethan. I want to sell your bread in my village, but I don't have money now. Can you trust me for 1 week? I will sell the bread, bring back your money, and keep only a small profit." Mr. Bennett looked at him with sharp eyes. "And why should I trust you, young man?" he asked. Ethan stood tall and said, "Because I'm honest and I will work very hard. I will not let you down, Mr." Bennett was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "All right, I'll give you bread for 1 week. If you do not pay me back, don't come here again." Ethan's face lit up with joy. "Thank you, sir. I promise I won't disappoint you." The next morning, before the sun came up, Ethan picked up the fresh bread and walked back to his village. He found a spot near the park and set up a small wooden table. He smiled at everyone and said, "Fresh bread, still warm and delicious." At first, people were unsure. They looked at him but didn't stop. Ethan smiled kindly and offered free samples. A few people tasted the bread. They said, "This is really good." Soon, more people came to buy. By the end of the day, Ethan had sold everything. He was tired but happy. That evening, he walked back to Mr. Bennet's bakery and gave him the money. Mr. Bennet nodded and said, "You did well, come back tomorrow." Ethan smiled. His journey had just begun. From that day on, Ethan worked very hard. Every morning, he woke up at 4:00 a.m. The stars were still in the sky, and the village was dark and quiet. While other people were sleeping, Ethan put on his warm coat, picked up a large basket, and walked to the next town to get the bread from Mr. Bennet. Sometimes it rained. Sometimes it snowed, but Ethan never missed a day. He walked for more than an hour each morning just to bring fresh bread to his village. His feet hurt and his hands were cold, but he always smiled. Back in the village, he set up his little bread table near the park. He greeted people cheerfully. "Good morning, would you like some fresh bread?" He always gave free samples to new customers. His friendly attitude made people happy. Slowly, more and more villagers started to buy from him. They said, "Ethan is a good boy. He works hard and his bread is tasty." After 2 months, Ethan had saved a little money. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy a small cart with wheels. Now, he didn't need to carry the bread on his back. He could push the cart and bring even more bread. This made his work easier, and it made him look more professional. He painted the cart blue and added a sign, "Ethan's bread, fresh and warm." One sunny afternoon, while selling bread, a kind customer said to him, "Ethan, you are great at selling bread. But have you thought about baking your own? If you make the bread yourself, you can earn more money." This idea stayed in Ethan's mind all night. He lay in bed thinking, "What if I learn to bake? Then I won't need to walk so far every day. I can make my own bread and create my own recipes." But he was also afraid. "I've never baked before," he thought. "What if I fail? What if people don't like my bread?" Then he remembered something his father once said. "If you want to grow, you must take risks. Nothing good comes without effort." The next morning, after delivering the money to Mr. Bennet, Ethan looked at the old man and asked, "Mr. Bennet, may I ask you something?" Mr. Bennet raised his eyebrows. "What is it?" Ethan said, "Can you teach me how to bake bread?" Mr. Bennet frowned. "Why would I do that? If you learn to bake, you won't buy my bread anymore. That's not good for me." Ethan answered honestly, "I understand, sir, but I won't forget what you did for me. You gave me my first chance. If I become successful, I'll help your bakery too." Mr. Bennet looked at Ethan for a long moment. Finally, he said, "Baking is not easy. It takes time, skill, and a lot of hard work. If you are ready for that, come tomorrow morning at 3:00 a.m. Ethan smiled and nodded. "I'll be there." The next morning, while most people were still asleep, Ethan arrived at the bakery. Mr. Bennet was already there, wearing a white apron with flour on his hands. "Come in," he said. The bakery was warm and smelled wonderful. Mr. Bennet showed Ethan how to measure flour, mix it with water and yeast, knead the dough, and wait for it to rise. They worked for hours, and Ethan listened carefully to every word. At first, it was very hard. Ethan's arms got tired. His hands were sticky with dough. Sometimes the bread didn't rise properly. Sometimes it came out too hard or too soft. Ethan made many mistakes and he felt sad. One day, after another failed batch, he sat down and said to himself, "Maybe I'm just not good at this. Maybe I should stop trying." But then he remembered his dream and his father's voice in his mind. Dreams are not free. That gave him the strength to continue. The next day, Ethan woke up even earlier than before. He told himself, "I will not give up. I will learn no matter how long it takes." He walked to the bakery in the cold morning air, his breath forming small clouds in front of him. When he arrived, Mr. Bennet was already waiting, standing next to a big bowl of dough. Ethan washed his hands and put on an apron. He looked serious and focused. Mr. Bennet said, "Let's try again today." This time, Ethan paid close attention to every step. He watched how Mr. Bennet's hands moved when kneading the dough. He listened carefully when the old man explained how temperature and time can change everything in baking. Ethan practiced again and again. He didn't mind getting flour all over his clothes. He didn't care that his arms hurt. He just wanted to learn. Each day, he got a little better. The dough was smoother. The bread rose higher. After 2 weeks, something wonderful happened. Mr. Bennet tasted one of Ethan's loaves and smiled, a rare smile. He said, "This is perfect, Ethan. You are ready." Ethan felt so proud. His heart was full of joy. He had done it. He had learned how to bake bread. That evening, Ethan returned home and told his family the good news. His mother, Linda, hugged him tightly. "I'm so proud of you," she said with happy tears in her eyes. His little sister, Emily, jumped up and down and said, "Can I help you bake too?" Ethan laughed. "Of course, I need all the help I can get." They moved a small table into the kitchen and cleaned it carefully. Ethan used his savings to rent a small oven. It wasn't big, but it was enough to get started. He bought some flour, sugar, and eggs. Then, early the next morning, he started baking at home. The smell of fresh bread filled the whole house. It made everyone smile. Emily helped him wrap the bread in clean paper. Linda made tea for Ethan to keep him warm and awake because he worked late into the night. Soon, Ethan wasn't just baking bread. He started making cookies and small cakes too. He read books from the village library and watched videos on an old phone to learn new recipes. He was always trying to improve. People in the village noticed. They said, "Ethan's bread is amazing. His cookies are delicious too." His customers were happy, and they told their friends. More and more people came to buy from him. But success never comes without problems. One day, a new bakery opened in the village. It was big and modern, with shiny glass windows and bright lights. The owner was a young man named Lucas. He wore nice clothes and always smiled. His bakery had colorful signs and pretty cakes. Many villagers went to see the new place. Ethan noticed that fewer people came to his cart. His sales dropped. He felt a little scared. He thought, what if everyone forgets about me? What if I lose everything I've built? But Ethan didn't panic. He asked his customers, "What do you like about Lucas's bakery? What can I do better?" One woman said, "His shop is very clean and nice to look at." Another man said, "His cakes are beautiful. They have flowers and designs on top." Ethan listened carefully. He knew he had to change. He wanted to keep growing, not just as a baker, but also as a businessman. He used some of his savings to paint his cart bright yellow. He added colorful ribbons and put up a new sign that said, "Ethan's Fresh Bakes, made with love." He offered free samples of his new cookies. He even began learning how to decorate cakes. He borrowed books and watched more videos. Little by little, his customers came back. They smiled when they saw his bright cart and tasted his sweet pastries. One evening, as the sun was setting and the sky turned orange and pink, an old woman came to Ethan's cart. She bought a loaf of bread and said, "Ethan, I've seen many young men give up when life gets hard. But not you. You keep going. That's why we believe in you." Her kind words touched Ethan's heart. He smiled and replied, "Thank you, I do my best every day." As weeks passed, Ethan's business grew again. People came not just for the bread, but also for his cakes, cookies, and his big, warm smile. He saved every little coin he could. He counted his earnings every night, sitting at the small table with his mother and sister. Linda helped him keep records of sales, and Emily liked to count the money with him, learning about coins and numbers. After several months, Ethan finally had enough money to rent a small shop near the town center. It was not very big, but it had windows, a front door, and a place for an oven. Ethan and his family were excited. They worked together to clean the shop. They painted the walls light blue and put up a sign, "Ethan's Fresh Bakes." On opening day, many villagers came to see the shop. They were happy and proud of Ethan. He wore a white apron and stood behind the counter with a big smile. Linda helped serve customers, and Emily walked around with free samples. Every morning, Ethan woke up before sunrise. He baked fresh bread, soft rolls, and sweet muffins. His little shop smelled like sugar and butter, and people lined up outside. He talked to each person kindly, always remembering their names and favorite items. "Mrs. Hall, here's your favorite raisin bread." Or, "Mr. Kim, I made extra cinnamon rolls today just for you." But life still had more challenges for Ethan. One rainy night, as Ethan was closing the shop, he smelled something strange. Smoke. He turned around and saw that a small fire had started near the oven. He ran to get water and quickly poured it over the flames. After a few minutes, the fire stopped, but the damage was done. The oven was broken, and the wall behind it was black with smoke. Ethan sat on the floor, breathing hard. His heart was beating fast. "What now?" he whispered. "How can I bake without an oven?" The next morning, the villagers came to check on him. Some looked sad. Some whispered to each other, this might be the end of Ethan's bakery. But Ethan didn't give up. He stood outside the shop and said, "This is only a problem. I've had problems before and I made it through. I will not give up now." He went home and looked at his savings. It was not enough to buy a new oven. For a short moment, he felt scared again. Then he remembered something important. He had started with nothing, just a dream and a lot of hope. He decided to try baking at home again. His old rented oven was still there. It was small, but it worked. Ethan told his customers, "I will still bake for you. Maybe not as much, but I won't stop." The people in the village were touched. They respected Ethan's courage. Many of them came to help. One man gave him bags of flour. A woman donated sugar and eggs. Some teenagers helped clean the bakery. Others brought paint and tools. Even Lucas, the owner of the big bakery, came and said, "You are a strong person, Ethan. If you need anything, let me know." Ethan was surprised but thankful. "Thank you, Lucas. That means a lot." Ethan felt deeply moved by the kindness of his neighbors. Every small gift and every helping hand gave him strength. He realized something very important. When you work hard and never give up, people will notice. And when people see that you help yourself, they are more willing to help you too. With the help of the villagers, Ethan cleaned and fixed his bakery. They painted the walls a soft yellow and hung new curtains in the windows. A friend of his made a new wooden sign that said, "Ethan's Fresh Bakes, open again." His little sister, Emily, drew pictures of bread and cupcakes and taped them to the front window. The shop looked warm, bright, and full of love. Even though his big oven was broken, Ethan worked long hours using the small oven at home. He baked as much as he could every night, then brought the fresh bread and sweets to the shop early in the morning. Linda helped wrap the bread in paper, and Emily placed the cookies in baskets on the counter. Slowly, things began to improve. More and more people came back to the shop. Some brought their friends from other towns to visit. They said, "You have to meet Ethan. He's the boy who never gave up." People were not only coming for the bread, they were coming for the story behind it. Ethan also started to create new items. He added cupcakes with colorful frosting, muffins with fruits, and chocolate chip cookies. His bakery was full of sweet smells and happy faces. He even made a small seating area with 2 wooden tables and a few chairs, where people could enjoy their treats with a cup of tea or coffee. One day, a man in a suit walked into the shop. He looked around, smiled, and said, "This place feels special. Is Ethan here?" Ethan came out from the kitchen, holding a tray of warm banana bread. "Yes, that's me," he said. The man introduced himself. "I'm Mr. Wallace. I run a business in the city. I heard about your story from my cousin who lives here. I wanted to see it with my own eyes." Ethan was surprised but polite. "Thank you for visiting, sir." Mr. Wallace tried a piece of the banana bread. He nodded. "Delicious. You have talent. I visit many bakeries and yours has something different. You bake with heart." Ethan smiled and said, "I started with nothing but a dream. I've learned that nothing is free, not success, not respect. You must earn everything." Mr. Wallace looked impressed. "Well said. Keep going. One day you might open more shops, not just here, but in many places." That night, Ethan sat outside the bakery and looked up at the stars again, just like he had months ago. But this time, he didn't feel lost. He felt proud. He thought, "This is still the beginning. There is more to do, but I know now I can do it." The next morning, something very special happened. The town's mayor came to visit the bakery. He brought a small group of people with cameras. They interviewed Ethan and asked about his story. He stood in front of the shop and told them everything, from the first time he sold bread with no money to learning how to bake and then losing everything in the fire. At the end, the mayor said, "Ethan, you are not just a baker. You are an inspiration. You have shown us that with hard work, anything is possible." Everyone clapped. Ethan's eyes filled with tears, but he smiled. His family stood next to him, proud and happy. After the mayor's visit, Ethan's bakery became even more popular. People from nearby towns came to see the young man who never gave up. They wanted to taste his bread, but more than that, they wanted to feel his spirit. Ethan's story gave them hope. It reminded them that hard work and kindness can change lives. Every day, Ethan woke up before the sun, just like before. He still worked with his hands, kneading dough, baking bread, and greeting each customer with a smile. But now he had more help. His mother, Linda, managed the money and made sure everything was in order. His sister, Emily, was now 11 years old and loved helping at the counter. She had grown into a cheerful young girl who told every customer, "My big brother makes the best bread in the world." Ethan didn't forget Mr. Bennett, the old baker who gave him his first chance. One day, he visited Mr. Bennett's house and brought him a basket of warm bread, cookies, and muffins. Mr. Bennett opened the door and smiled. "You've come a long way," he said. Ethan nodded. "And it started with your help. Thank you for trusting me." The old man patted his shoulder. "You earned it. You worked hard. I'm proud of you." Ethan didn't stop dreaming. Now that his first shop was doing well, he started planning for the future. He wanted to open another bakery in a nearby town. He also wanted to teach young people how to bake, especially those who had no money or didn't believe in themselves. He wanted them to know, just like he had learned that nothing is free, but anything is possible. He started a small weekend class at the back of his bakery. He called it Bake and Believe. A few teenagers came each Saturday to learn how to mix, knead, and bake. Ethan didn't charge them money. He only asked them to come with a strong heart and a promise, never give up on their dreams. One of his students, a shy boy named Adam, asked him one day, "Ethan, what if I fail?" Ethan smiled and said, "Then you try again. I failed many times. But each time I learned something new. Failing is not the end. It's part of the journey." Adam nodded and kept kneading the dough. Ethan watched him and felt happy. He knew he was passing something important to the next generation, not just baking skills, but the spirit of hope and hard work. Years later, Ethan's bakery had grown. He had opened 2 more shops. His name became well known in the region. But more than that, he became a symbol of courage. People told his story to their children. Teachers used his example in schools. Even news reporters came to write about him. But Ethan stayed the same inside. He still believed in the simple truth that his father once told him: dreams are not free. One evening, Ethan stood outside his first shop, now bigger and brighter. He looked at the lights, the happy customers, and the laughter coming from inside. His mother was wiping the counter. His sister was serving cupcakes to 2 little girls. Ethan took a deep breath and smiled. He thought, everything I have came from effort. It came from not giving up, from trying again and again. I didn't just build a bakery. I built a life I'm proud of. Then he turned off the shop lights and whispered to himself under the stars, "Nothing is free, but everything is possible."